All right, guys. So we are going to start Vlogtober a day late. It is what it is. And I just wanted to come on, give you guys a little rundown on where we're at right now, and give you guys a little bit of encouragement going into October, okay? So I've had a lot of plans that have been upended, just there's been a lot going on. So we were gonna be all excited because we are moving to Florida, okay? If you don't know, I'm living in Indianapolis right now in an apartment with my 2 kids, and a friend that hangs out a lot over here. And so the 4 of us are supposed to be moving down to Florida. So the whole thing, I had a plan for Vlogtober, and we were gonna do all this kind of cool stuff and whatever. And something spoke to me and said, that is not following your joy. And you want to help people follow their joy. So you need to follow your joy. And your joy comes from just simply looking at the camera, talking, and encouraging people. That's where my joy comes from. I do like to plan different things and whatever, but in the current place that we are in right now, not place as in actual physical place, but the current, in the middle of moving, I'm still in school, still doing homeschool with the kids, all this stuff, the level of work that I was making for myself was a lot. And it's not that it won't ever happen. I might eventually do it. We might work on something where I start slowly working on it through this month, and maybe next month and the month after we do end up doing what I wanted to do. A lot of the stuff this month was supposed to be about the move, and we are still, I was fully convinced that we were going to be in Florida already. And so because we are not in Florida already, I'm in a space where I'm okay, we have to figure things out, right? I don't want to make too much of it. And then for a minute there, it looked like it might be November or December before we moved. And so I was trying to bounce around, and that's another reason why it just came to my heart that what I need to do is just come in here, talk to you guys about real life, about what's going on, about, just give you guys encouragement to get through whatever it is you're going through, whether that's in family, whether that's in business. Obviously, if you're here, this is the Neuro Circus. We talk about neurodivergent family dynamics, neurodivergent business, neurodivergent life. So because of that, it's going to touch all those spaces, right? And from one day to the next, it's just going to be kind of wherever I feel led to talk. So if you are called to be here and listen, then I'm going to trust that whoever is meant for this video, it will find. I don't necessarily consider myself a channel at the moment, or should I say I don't channel messages at the moment on this channel. And if I do ever feel like something is being downloaded, channeled, I will make sure I let you guys know that. I work off a lot of aha moments in my life, okay? Because growth is an ever evolving thing. And a friend of mine just said this, every version of you, every next level of you demands a new version, new boundaries, new everything. And so it just feels like things are constantly evolving, which is as it should be. So where I think sometimes we feel like we have to have stability and everything has to be the same and whatever, that's business advice. That's not life advice. And so when you're trying to mesh your life with business, there's a point where you can have a business that is a business, and then you can have your life. But when you're trying to live and then let things open up and become business, right? You can't go by those same like rules. The rules don't apply in that point. So I'm going to give you guys a brief little bit of a rundown here on stuff. So I kind of already said, like, we're still homeschooling. I'm still in school. I have another year. So I will be out in June of 2026 is my last month. And then I don't know, because the plan always was to go on and get my master's. And I've been kind of told, well, like, you need to have a job and you need to do all this stuff and whatever before then. But we're going to see what happens, because I truly believe that my coaching and everything is going to pick up and we're going to be fine. And I am going to be able to continue and go on and get my master's, because it's what I really want. It's what I feel called to do. And I feel good about it. So that's one of those things where other people give you ideas and tell you what they think you should do. But at the end of the day, like, you have to follow your own intuition, your own thoughts, your own kind of thing. And that's one of the things that I'm learning, because for a long time, I just kind of let anybody and everybody tell me what they thought I should do. And then I would like get upset with myself when I couldn't pull it off. Another like totally masking thing, right? So like, okay, you tell me what I should do and then I do it, and then like I make you happy, but if I can't pull it off, then you're not going to be happy. And then, so yeah, it's learning to trust yourself, learning to trust your intuition, learning to dive deep, because you know what you're good at. You know your strengths, you know your weaknesses, you know what you have to offer. Even the people who are like, I don't have anything to offer, like, you do. You just have to like go there, and you have to think about it, and you have to think about like sometimes what you have to offer is simply just who you are. Like the fact that you walk into a room and you can see the positive, you can see the good side, like that's something to offer people, right? Because you're like that bright light in a dark area. There's people who are really good at, you know, whatever thing you're really good at, like you have something to offer this world, I promise you. So let's flip-flop back to, we're going to be moving. I don't exactly know when. And that this is going to be like real-time stuff, okay? I was going to like do vlogs of it and all this kind of stuff. And I might occasionally throw a vlog in when I can. But it won't be real-time. It will be something that will be recorded and stitched together over a week or so. And then you'll get a video that'll be not kind of like this, but more like vlog style. I love vlogging. It's something that I do like doing. It's just really difficult where we're at right now. And so I think it'll be a little different in the newer place. And just the more everybody opens up to doing it, the easier it is for me to do. So that's another thing where it's not necessarily that everybody needs to open up to them being on the vlog, but the idea of me vlogging my life, at least, yeah. So we will see, again, like I said, what happens. I'm playing everything by ear right now, because I really felt like I was trying to control things too much by like putting things in boxes and like, we're going to be moved by this day, so I'm going to make sure that these 2 days we're going to vlog this and we're going to do this. And then everything was just, has been up in the air for 3 weeks. So things that I had scheduled, I were way behind and everything. And again, I just couldn't, right? That being said, I feel like all of this is teaching me a lesson, and it's here to teach you guys a lesson too. If you're listening and you resonate with any of this, you are probably in a space in your life right now where things feel like they're in limbo. They feel like they're like, you're in the middle, right? You were at this level right here. You're about to move up to this level over here. There's that gap. You're kind of floating in the middle there. Like the staircase is starting to be built to get up there, but you're like on like the second or third step and not all the way up. And it's still being built. And I want you to just think about something, okay? When things happen, 9 times out of 10, the things like, okay, there might be a few things that are just solely you, but there's a lot more things that involve more people and other things lining up and other whatevers. And so sometimes it's not you that's not ready, it's other things and other people that have to figure out and get in line and whatever in order for things to work out. And so it's frustrating sometimes because maybe we feel like, okay, I feel like I'm where I'm supposed to be, I'm ready to do this, and then nothing. Okay. I just have to wait it out. 2 weeks later, nothing. I'm really starting to get frustrated because I know that I'm where I'm supposed to be, but I'm not seeing the evidence of it. 2 weeks later, still where you're at. And it can be very, very frustrating, guys. I know it. Like, I get it. Other things have to be moving around in the background. And you have to trust. And it is ridiculously hard because it goes against everything that our human nature thinks. Okay, like logically, the more things stack up in your way, the more it's like, okay, this is a sign we need to just abort, change the plan, whatever. And I feel like sometimes it's leading you to other things. Okay, so for instance, we were looking at houses. Well, we were looking at apartments first. And then the only apartments that we found seemed to be in not so great neighborhoods. And then the houses that we found were in good neighborhoods, but then some of them were more than we could, handle. And then, so like we finally found a couple, and we found this one that we liked, and we were like approved for it. And then like money just and stopped. Like, I'm talking never happened before, never had a problem with things before. All of a sudden, huge block right there, making it very difficult to do anything, like to live even here, much less go through the moving process. And so I was like, okay, it's hold tight, like we have to have faith. And then after about a week and a half, 2 weeks, it was like, okay, maybe this is redirecting us somewhere. Maybe we need to start looking for something else. And then we found other things. And those were, in my opinion, showing me future things, because we were going to jump on it and then like it looked good and then it didn't, and then it looked good and then it didn't. And I feel like that was like a sign, okay, that was like, this is coming. So you're going to have this, but you have to go up the staircase, right? Like we can't get from floor, 3 to floor 7, right? We have to go 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And so I was like, okay. And this is something that I feel like happens with neurodivergent people a lot. Somebody will give you something, they'll say something, like not give you something, but they'll give you an idea. They'll give you like a thought to think about. And at first, if it's opposite of where we've been or what we've been thinking or what we've been doing, it'll hurt. It'll be hard. It'll be something we don't want to hear, right? And it kind of blindsides us. Like we feel like, okay, why are you doing this to us? Like, no, this is what I want. I've been saying this whole time, this or something better. This or something better. And so when this wasn't working out, which was the one house, and we found other houses that were cheaper, that were better, and they were cheaper, and it was like it should have been kind of a red flag, but I was like, okay. I was going with, okay, this or something better, and that's why it's better, because these people are obviously like, who knows? Like in my head, I was going straight from, okay, maybe they already own the place and they've, we're looking at Florida, right? So vacation area, maybe they've made their money back 2 or 3 times over on it from vacation rentals, and now they just like want to pay the bills, right? I want to keep it because I don't want to sell it, but I also don't need any real money out of it. So I'm just going to kind of let it be rented for paying the bills. And that was where I went to in my brain with it. And I don't know whether I would call that wishful thinking or not. That was just where I went. And, you know, we found out some things. And I'm just going to say this. I could get very, very upset and I could feel very misled. I could be very frustrated right now. The place that I'm at right now, this is what I feel like. I feel like instead of being upset because this feels like it was dangled in front of us, but it's like out of our reach, it's more like this is a goal to work towards. We need to climb the staircase. And, you know, you have to climb the staircase. You have to do things not necessarily in order, okay? Like, there's elevators. You can get from floor 3 to floor 7 if you get in an elevator, right? But you have to have the elevator that takes you. So, like, that's another thing is there are elevators, but you have to have access to them and be able to use them, right? And so sometimes you're on a staircase and until you get to that floor, like if you're in the middle of a staircase, you either have to go down to get to an elevator or you have to go up to get to an elevator. And since like in like the spiritual realm, we don't really go backwards, right? Like we're not going to go backwards and then get on the elevator and go up. We're going to go up and then we're going to get on the elevator there and go. So it was just recently, like I'm talking this morning, I found this apartment complex that was really close to the house that we were looking at that's like a ton cheaper, that has a lot of the same amenities plus like a lot more amenities. And they're able to work with us and everything. So that's like where we're at right now, is deciding between a house that's more expensive and has less, or an apartment complex that it's cheaper, but it has more stuff, but it's an apartment complex, right? So you're like, you know, like you have neighbors all around you, or, you know, you're by yourself, but it's more expensive, but this is cheaper, but it's got more. And it's all of those little like things that you have to decide what's more important to you, right? And one of the things that I had said was like, I wanted somewhere stable for the girls. But then I also had this thought, which was because we are all neurodivergent here, it can be very difficult for us to get out of our comfort zone to go see people, to go like do things. And so if we're not forced to in a way, it can make it very difficult. And I was like I was trying to figure out ways to kind of force myself to do it with the kids anyway. But under this circumstance, I'm like, if we go here, like you have a pool, but it's like, you know, the community pool, and there's community, you know, amenities and stuff. So it gives us the ability to like, we can control when we go, right? And because I homeschool, like if we want to do like a morning, you know, morning pool time, morning whatever, when there's not as many people there, we can totally do that. But we can also go sometimes when there's a few people there or when there's a lot of people there, and we can just kind of try different things to meet some people, to, you know, to get to that point, right? But there's also like that we have the ability, because I do homeschool, to be like, okay, we're going to spend an hour at the pool first, and that's going to be like our PE time. And then we can come back and get schoolwork done and whatever. And they still get to enjoy the amenities. Number one, we're not paying for the amenities, right? Because in an apartment complex, they take all the apartments and just split what the maintenance is across all of them. Whereas in a house, like, okay, we were going to pay $100, no matter where we were at, we were going to pay $100 a month for pool care, which sure, that's not like a ton, but if you think about it, that's like, you know, that's like household items for the month, right? That we are getting back in our pocket now. So it makes more sense to do this. And it seems like it's something that everybody's going to be on board with. And it's weird because if you would have asked me a week ago, I would have been like, no, I'm holding on to this or something better. There's got to be something better that is something better, meaning we're looking at a house, it's got to be a house. But again, I had that shift in my head where it was like, but you want them to make friends down there. And you know yourself, and you know that you're probably just going to sit in the pool and not go and make friends. And you're going to set yourself up for continuing in the same way that you are now. And you said you weren't going to do that. So it's like kind of like forcing, but yet not, right? Like I'm kind of creating a more natural way of having to do things. But I can also not. If I'm having a really off day and I just really don't need to be around people, I don't have to go to the pool. Like that doesn't have to happen, right? Or I can go early in the morning. Like that's a thing. So the fact that the person I spoke with on the phone took like almost a half an hour with me and has emailed me twice since and is, you know, very, very helpful. That helps me feel very good about this decision too, because the person who was helping us with the house was like, we wouldn't hear from them for like a week, and then they'd be like, oh yeah, where are you at on all this stuff? And it's like, do you even really want this to be done? Because it seems to me that if you wanted it to be done, you'd be more proactive about it, but you're not. So how proactive are you going to be on actually fixing something if something goes wrong or something? And those are other thoughts. This place, the apartment complex, is very close to stores and like restaurants and like movie theater and stuff like that, like walking distance. The other place was like 15-minute car ride to get to anywhere like that. And so that being said, that's another space where I feel, because if you know me, you know, I don't drive. I could actually get the kids out places. We could walk, we could go do stuff. Whereas the other place, like I was thinking to myself, well, like we can Uber and like that's a thing, we can do that, and we do that around here. But then we're like limited, right? Because we're limited to like a few times a month versus just being able to go do stuff. Because if you walk, when I was little, we used to just go walking and go like window shopping places and stuff. And that was just a common thing. So that is somewhere where I feel like all of this is just kind of falling in a place where it's like showing me what I can have. It's telling me like, look it, this is like possible, right? This is possible. I was watching another YouTuber that I absolutely love, and she had a play button. And she was like, she's like, if you work as hard as I do, you can have this, I have this, you could have this. And it's like, I have to remember that just because other people have something that I want doesn't mean I'm never going to get it. It means that I'm in the right frequency to have what I want. I'm there. I'm like right there. Okay? So you just got to keep going. You can't give up. That's one of the reasons why yesterday I tried to do 2 or 3 different like talking head vloggy things, but I was busy, I was here, I was there, I was all over the place doing stuff. And it just didn't happen. And I was like, well, I could do 2 videos on, and I'm like, no. You're gonna put out a video on the 2nd of October. We're gonna call it day 1 of Vlogtober, and we're gonna let it go. Because that's real life, okay? This is not a production. And that was the other thing that I was thinking, like, when you want to be an influencer, or you want to be a YouTuber, you want to be like someone like that, sometimes you look for things that you want to do, and then you like go do them in order to create content. but it's not natural. It's like a production. And then you're not enjoying the things that you're doing because you're worried about the quality of what you're doing. I started that on our first trip to Florida in July. I was like trying to find all the good places and all the good scenes and all the good whatevers. And it was on the way down there. Okay. So I was trying to get all kinds, and I did get a lot of good footage of travel, of like on the road and the mountains and stuff like that, which I love. And that, if nothing else, that's my own personal, like I can just watch that and take myself there to that place. But that being said, when I look at that kind of stuff, I was trying to do that to have B-roll of like, okay, we're going from this place to this place, and you see like the thing, and it was a transition. And I'm like, I wasn't doing it because I wanted to do it. I was doing it because I was trying to find the right spots to film in order to create content. And by the time we were going between Macon, Georgia and Florida, I was like, I can't. Like, there's a couple of things I did do. I did do the Florida-Georgia line because of the Florida-Georgia line song, Cruise. When he says whipping across the border, Florida into Georgia, I did get that, and that is on my TikTok because I had that idea for that video. And so like, I liked that idea, and so we did it. But that was like a 8-second clip, like maybe 15 seconds, but it was very, very quick. And because of that, I feel okay. Like, it wasn't like my whole trip was a production, right? And that's the thing that I'm trying to do, is find the balance, because I want to bring you guys real life. But more than that, I want to bring you guys tips and encouragement, and I want you guys to see my life unfolding naturally as and I was watching another YouTuber who reminded me of this thing where it's like, she was saying, well, if I can do it, you can do it. And then she said she had somebody tell her, well, that's not entirely true, because if you're doing something, like, you're putting in the amount of effort and the amount of whatever, and that person has to be willing to do it too. So you have to be willing to match my level of, or above, right? My level of commitment, my level of like doing the thing, my level of action and work on it and whatever, in order to get the results. It's not just like, okay, I can wave a magic wand, you can be me and you can have this, right? We have to work at things. And so because of that, I say this way. I want you guys to be able to watch me, but also see the effort that I'm putting in and the work that I'm putting in, but also see where I'm not. Because like, that's part of it, right? If we chase the things that we're passionate about and we do the things that we're passionate about, we can have a really great life, and it can feel like we're working sometimes, but a lot of the stuff can feel like we're not working, can feel like we're just having fun. And then we have some work, but then you have fun, and then you have work, and then you have fun, but it's not like it's 8 hours a day of not having fun. You're doing the thing that you enjoy, but you have to do the thing that you enjoy, and you have to do it in the way that you enjoy it, and you have to figure out the way to make money. That's the like the whole key to everything. So because, and this is where one of those places where I'm like, because I am where I am, because everything is going the way it's going, right? I feel very much like I can show you and I can help you figure out the ways. I have the NeuroCircus has the Dream Lab, and it has the NeuroCircus Family Big Top. And those are both places, whether you're looking for some family activities, family fun, ways to help your family, like as a whole, like the family, or whether you're looking, that's the Big Top. The Dream Lab is helping you to kind of zone in on your dreams, figure out what your dreams are, to follow them, and then to we do a second round to help your family. Like, then you can kind of be the leader, and we kind of hold your hand while you're working with different people in your family, trying to get them on board and get them to kind of figure out what their big dreams are and goals are, so that everybody is then living their dream and living what they want. And sometimes it's work. Sometimes we have to give up something, right? I say this all the time. If you have time to watch Netflix, to watch a movie, to, you know, play a video game, whatever, then there's a choice to be made. And it doesn't have to be the whole thing. Maybe if you have an hour to play a video game or watch a movie, but you're willing to cut that in half and be like, okay, I'll take 35 or 40 minutes to do this thing that I like, and I'll take 20 or, you know, 30 minutes here to work on something that's going to get me where I want to go. It might take a little longer, but you're still working towards something, right? If you really want to go faster, further, then maybe you cut that out for a little bit. Or you cut it out for, like, I'm gonna do like 3 days a week or 4 days a week. I'm gonna work on this thing. And then the rest of the time I can give myself some time off, right? So that I'm not burning myself out. Because that's the other thing we don't want to do. And that's kind of the fine lines and the balance that we try to figure out is, where are you burning yourself out? What is it gonna take you to kind of give yourself that, like, ability to recharge, right? Because a lot of times for neurodivergence, recharging doesn't look like laying in bed and sleeping. It looks like doing something that we enjoy. It looks like working on a passion project. It looks like, and sometimes we try to relax in the way that neurotypical people would, that we try to relax by watching a movie or taking a nap. And granted, sometimes that stuff does work, but sometimes it holds us where we're at too. Like, I'm still just as exhausted when I wake up from a nap because I need passion to fuel me. I need to feel like I have something to live for that's more than just a 9-to-5 job in cleaning my house. Like, sometimes we have that need for that. And so working on something even 20 minutes a day can give us that boost of feeling alive, right? And then we can do baby steps. A lot of times we start working on something just 20 minutes a day, and then we start to, like, it starts to kind of bleed over. And maybe we're working on it 20 minutes a day, but we're also working on it like on our break times, or we're researching things while we're waiting in line for something, and it kind of bleeds into other areas, but it does naturally. It's not a forced thing. It's not like I'm saying you have to use every spare moment. You start to want to. And then when you start to want to, the more you're working on something, the better it's falling into place, and the better chances you have of it working out in your favor. And not everything is going to work out. Sometimes we have to go back to the drawing board. Sometimes we have to say, okay, we tried this for 6 months, it's not working. How can we shift? How can we pivot? How can we move? But if it's something that you really want to do, you just don't give up. You just don't sit in that place where you're like, okay, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. You, like, switch in your mind, and you, like, spend some time. You figure out what's working and what isn't, and why aren't things working? Maybe it's because you should be doing something else along the same lines, but something else. Maybe it's because you're supposed to be doing something totally different, and you'll get that feeling and you'll be able to switch it up. What I love about the Dream Lab is you have people there to help you work through those things. So we're holding your hand, sort of, right? We're kind of there supporting you as you're making changes in your life. And then at the end of it, if it's still not working, we're there to say, okay, you don't need to stop everything and just go backwards to what you were doing. Where do we need to pivot? What isn't working? And we look like full circle on like where you're at now, where you want to be. Sometimes we get involved in something and we think it's what we want, but then we realize it's really we want something similar as to what other people have, but we don't want to go through all the work. I said this before. I've been in several network marketing companies and direct sales companies. And every time they would say something to us about like, if you want something bad enough, you'll find a way. And if you don't, you'll make an excuse. And they would say that as a way of like trying to guilt us into talking to the people that we didn't feel like talking to, or, you know, reaching out to people, or booking parties, or doing the things. And like, even if you feel like you're being this sleazy salesperson, like this is what it takes, and if you don't, you just don't want it bad enough. And it took me a minute, well, it took me a long time actually, but I finally figured out that it wasn't that I don't want to make money the way I'm making money. It was that I don't want to do these tasks. I want to do something else. And so when I was able to focus on something else, I started to actually make some money and be successful in things. We have to be in a point where we are like working toward the goal, but then be open to that goal switching as we learn more about ourselves, right? And as we're learning more about ourselves and about what we will, what we can handle, what we can't handle, what we will do, what we won't do, those are all signs. It's kind of like having the bumpers on the bowling, right? Like, instead of going down a road that you don't want to go down, you kind of bump into the gutters, but you don't go down the gutter. You just kind of bump, okay, I'm not going to do that. Okay, I'm not going to do that. And it keeps you kind of in that road right there so that you can keep going straight and actually hit some pins and be successful. But we have to use that, right? Because we can turn the bumpers off and go down a road because we are 100% certain that everybody else said this is the way to go, so we're going to do this. Or we can put the bumpers up, which is our intuition, and we can listen to our intuition and allow things to kind of bump off. No, that doesn't feel good. No, that doesn't feel good. Okay, we're not going to do that. We're going to go back this way. Okay, keep going down the road. Bump into that. No, that doesn't feel good. That doesn't feel right. Until we get to where we're successful. And that is what the Dream Lab does, is it kind of gives you that ability to have people that are there, that are going through the same thing as you, that are trying to be successful like you are, that are working on themselves and willing to say, okay, this didn't work, next. Instead of saying this didn't work, I give up, let's go backwards to where we were before. It's, okay, this didn't work, what's next? Let's keep going. Let's keep going till we hit where we want to hit. And then once we hit where we want to hit, we celebrate, and then we level up and we go down that road on the next path, right? So that's what I love about the Dream Lab. It's just a place where we can really kind of help each other down this road. So that's what I want my content to do for you guys, is I want it to be this space where you guys can kind of watch the trial and error. You can kind of watch everything as it's happening, but you can watch the successes, but you can also see kind of some of the behind the scenes, what it's taken, how much time I've had to put in, what I've had to say no to, and what I've been able to say yes to. And that's all important, because if I'm only showing you the things that I think you want to see, then I'm not showing you everything. Then when you try to do it, it's going to be like, oh, well, I didn't know it was this hard, or they didn't show me this part. She didn't show me that part. So I'm trying to bring it all to you. And that includes family life. That includes, and I won't put my kids on here. They don't want to be on here, and I don't want them on here. But I will talk about what has worked for us, about what hasn't worked for us, and give you guys some ideas, right? Because that's part of it too. And that's what we have in the NeuroCircus Big Top, which is a community area for families, right? So we are going to be doing some online party kind of things where the kids are going to kind of get to see each other with parent supervision, you know, and that way, like, you're going to kind of build a community that you have support in, where people kind of understand you and know you and, you know, can say, like, maybe your own family doesn't get it because they don't understand it. They don't live your life. You know, my mom, for a long time, she used to say things to me like, I don't know how you do it, when she would come stay with us for a week. Because she's like, you just do things, and you do things in a way that's just so different, but like, you do it anyway. And you come up with ways and you figure things out. And I'm like, well, we're not given a choice. Like, it's not like I can tell my child to not have a sensory meltdown. You know, my kids were little at the time. And it's like, I can't tell my kid not to have a sensory meltdown. I just have to figure out why they're having the meltdown and fix it. Find a way to accommodate it. And it can be really difficult when they're little, especially when they're having trouble communicating. I mean, my daughter had speech delay when she was little, but by the time she was 4 or 5, she was talking your ear off. But there was that point where she didn't even know how to communicate what was going on. Like, she had words, she could talk a lot, but she didn't know how to say, this hurts this, or this is why I'm uncomfortable, or whatever. So she would act out. And it's like, okay, now I have to try to figure out why you're acting out. A lot of times it was like, I'm hungry, or I'm tired. Like, I'm tired of doing whatever we're doing. I'm overstimulated, whatever. And there's ways that, like, you eventually learn your kids. You eventually learn what, you know, it's just like when they're babies, and you learn kind of, this is a cry because I'm like scared, and this is a cry because I'm hurt, and this is a cry because I'm annoyed. And you kind of learn their cries, and you know when you know when that cry happens, which is like, no matter what you're doing, you drop everything and go running to that kid because you know that's a serious cry, versus an annoying cry where you're like, okay, let me put this pizza in the oven and turn the timer on, and then I'll go in there and, you know. But that's how you learn your kids in general. And you learn when they're overstimulated, or when they're understimulated, or when they need whatever. And I want to give you guys ideas, tips, tricks, and that's what we do also on a deeper level, like I said, in the NeuroCircus Family Big Top. And we have challenges, and we have all kinds of fun things going on over there. And so the two communities work together to help a neurodivergent family thrive. Because that is the thing. A lot of times I think we are either told we are not neurodivergent and get over it, or you are too neurodivergent to have a good life. Settle for this over here and just be quiet and be happy that you have that much. And I don't believe either of those, okay? I believe that you can be fully neurodivergent, that you can have all kinds of needs that are not being met, that you mask and that you repress and that you push and whatever to make people happy. I believe that you shouldn't do that. I believe that you should be able to find accommodations to accommodate your life, to make it easier. And you should be able to accommodate yourself and everybody in your family. And everybody should be able to live a productive life the way they want to. So that's what we try to do. That's our goal. And we do that through support. We do that through education. We do that through tips and tricks and content. And it's an exciting time right now. And I know that that's scary because, like, the political climate in the United States right now is very much if you're neurodivergent, you almost want to shrink into a rock and crawl away. I don't believe that at all. I'm not saying I don't believe that it might not get scary, but I believe that we need to stand. I believe that we need to band together to help each other and to do the things that we need to do. Like, I think a lot of times we allow what other people say to come at us as though it's truth. I can't tell you how many times I have not accommodated myself in things in the past when I knew I could, because somebody said I didn't deserve the accommodation, even though the accommodation was something I could totally give myself. But you said that I shouldn't have this accommodation because I don't have this problem. You're not me. You're not in my shoes. You're not having to live life the way I'm having to live life. So if an accommodation can help me live a fuller, better, easier life, why wouldn't I take it? We don't tell people not to walk through automatic doors in places. In fact, we don't even have a lot of doors that you have to pull anymore. Everything is just automatic. Everything is just here. Use this accommodation. We need to live in a society. We need to start being that way for ourselves. We don't go, oh, well, I need to step up the curb because I'm not in a wheelchair, so I can't use that wheelchair ramp. How often do people walk up wheelchair ramps because they'd rather walk up them than stairs? We do it all the time. Like, we just do that. That's what we do as a society. It wasn't built for us to just walk up. It was built for people in wheelchairs. But that doesn't mean that people in wheelchairs are going to look at us and go, that's my wheelchair ramp. You can't go up that. No. As long as you're allowing people who need it to use it too, and you're not blocking it off and whatever, everybody gets to use it. Everybody should have the accommodations that they need across the board, period. Yeah, sometimes that means that companies might have to change a little bit of something or whatever. And sometimes companies don't want to do that. And in that case, I would say that, you have a couple of choices, right? If you can give yourself the accommodation without having to, really affect. If it's because I don't want to buy something, right? Like the company doesn't want to buy something, but you already have it to provide it. And you say, look, I already have this thing. I can bring it from home. I can use it. I'm not asking you to do that. I'm just asking you to allow me to do this. And if they're not going to even do that, I would start looking for another job. I know it's hard. I know it sucks. But that's my way I would do it, because I would be like, okay, they're not going to be able to accommodate anything because they only want things their way. And there will be people that will play into that, and there will be people who will do that. That doesn't mean you have to. And that's, I think, the thing that we forget is, like, sometimes we're like, well, I can't find another job. I've looked, I've whatever. Okay. I'm not telling you to quit your job right now. I'm telling you to start looking, putting in applications, asking around, talk to people, whatever. Sometimes that's all it takes is people thinking that you're going to go outside somewhere else, and they're like, oh, well, if all it takes is me saying yes to this thing, then whatever, fine, use it. I just was trying to keep everything the way that I know how to keep it in control. But if it's going to cause that much of a problem, then fine. And sometimes they won't. But then you find another job somewhere, right? And no, I know it's not that easy. Before people come at me and say, well, it's not that easy. I know it's not that easy. But it's like a place where we get to a certain place where we're like, okay, these are the accommodations that I need. If they are not ridiculous accommodations, okay, and they're not going to hurt the productivity, and they're not going to change the way everything goes, right, then it shouldn't be that big of a deal. If they're going to change things fundamentally, like, okay, I'm going to do something completely backwards, and now anybody else who works on this isn't going to know how to do it, I can understand that being a thing. And then maybe if that company is not open to it, then maybe you need to look elsewhere again. And I say that with the most love in my heart that I'm able to, give, because I get that it's hard, and I get that sometimes things are crazy and whatever. Like, I get it. I do. Like 1,000% get it. When I was younger, I went from job to job. I job hopped. I had 7 jobs inside a year. It was ridiculous because I couldn't find something where I could go in and feel like I was comfortable doing the job. I didn't realize back then that I had ADHD. I didn't realize I was neurodivergent. So it was very much like, you're just very uncoordinated and you are very just all over the place and not organized, and you just need to try harder. And the more people would scream, you just need to try harder, the more I would just close up into this, like, okay, like, no, you can't tell me to try harder. It's not going to work because I'm already trying as hard as I can. I'm trying twice as hard as I technically can. And I'm still not able to do that. And you're not seeing that. And so I would hop and hop and hop. And I'd find a job that I was able to do for a while. And then somebody would come in and try to fix the way I was doing it and change it, even though I was doing it the way that worked for me. And they were like, no, you're supposed to do it this way. And I'm like, okay. And then I would mess everything up and they'd get upset with me because I wasn't doing it their way. But then if I went back to doing it my way, everything was fine. And for a while there, I actually learned to like watch. Okay, I'll do it the way you want me to do it when you're standing right there. And then as soon as you leave, I'll go back to doing it the way that I want to do it. I can't tell you how many times I've like masked that way and learned to do that. And it's not good because it was like making me crazy, because like sometimes there'd be back and forth and I'd get mixed up on which way I was doing what. Like I felt that, okay? I have. I've been unemployed for a very long stretch of time at times because I messed up too many jobs. And when they'd call, people would be like, well, you've already had like 5 jobs in the last like 6 months. Well, you're not going to stay, so we're not going to hire you. I've had a lot of those situations before I was even diagnosed, before I even knew. So I get it, at least to some degree or another. We have to have respect for ourselves, though. And when we have respect for ourselves and we figure out what accommodations work and we stand and we say like, okay, you want this, this is the accommodation. And I do that with my kids now too. It's part of the reason why they're homeschooled, because we had accommodations in place that were not being used. And they said, well, we don't have enough people to put all of those accommodations in place. And I said, well, you told me. You didn't tell me these are the accommodations they should be getting, but we can't do that. You told me these are the accommodations that are on their IEP that they will be getting. I could fight it, but it's not something that I choose to fight. I don't have the spoons for that. I have my own stuff going on, so I just pulled them. I said, look, I unschooled them for a while. Now we're going through Khan Academy at the moment. I don't know what we're going to do when we go to Florida, because I know Florida's homeschool is entirely different. So I'm going to have to go through different things. But at the moment, that's where we're at. This was a long video, but I want it to be long. And if you're still watching, I love you. You are my people. I appreciate you. I appreciate you so much. I want you to know that you have the right to live a life that you love. You have the right to have the accommodations that you need. And you have the right to be here. You have the right to thrive. And that is what the Neurocircus is about, okay? At the end of the day, it's about finding the things that bring you joy and just leaning into them in life, okay? Talking, giving encouragement, helping people brings me ridiculous amounts of joy. And so I love what I am doing here. I love talking to you. I love hanging out with my community. I do that on TikTok nightly. We have nightly 8 p.m. Eastern time community lives where we play games and we do different things. And I love being in that, but I also love creating content. Right now we're in a season where content is a little hard to create because everything's up in the air. Once we get moved and everything's in a different spot and I have the ability to switch things around and whatever, there will be more real content coming in. More tutorials, more how-tos, more like real life, look at our groceries, look at our meal plan kind of stuff, because I feel like sometimes we just need that connection of like, okay, they have like 3 or 4 bags of chicken nuggets too, because like that's what works for them. And so if I have that, I don't have to feel bad. Or they had to say no to some, some social gatherings or social events because everybody was out of spoons. Like, that's how we live. I can't tell you how many times I've had people tell me I've spent money for things that we have gone to a quarter of and then left because everybody was worn out and overstimulated. And that was one of those places where it's like, well, why did you spend so much money on something if you weren't going to do it? And it's like, we spent money to have an experience. We had the experience to the best of our ability. Now we can go back and we can relax, and we don't have to do what everybody does, right? Some days we go to the pool and we're there all day because there's very few people there, because people are out doing other things, and we're able to relax and enjoy ourselves and everybody's having a good time. And sometimes we're at the pool for 45 minutes, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, and everybody's ready to go in and we just go, and we might have brought everything down there for 30 minutes and people are like, you brought sunscreen and a cooler and floaties and, all of your stuff to be down here for hours, and then you pack it all back up 30 minutes later. Yep, that's our life. We do things different around here. It's just what we do. But I have had so many people that have come against me for that like, I sought after and found other YouTubers, other content creators who were doing the same thing that made me feel normal. And that's what I'm trying to do for you also, is give you that voice that's like, okay, other people do things differently too, and it's fine, and they do okay. So this is not the end of the world. We'll be all right. All right, guys, I'm gonna let you go for today. Happy 2nd of October, first day of Vlogtober. I love y'all. I'm Kimberly Cox. This is the Neuro Circus. I will see you guys tomorrow.